Is he capable of doing a long distance relationship? Make sure you ask these 4 questions. They are critically important. So stay tuned. So you've connected with somebody, most likely online, who lives, maybe they live an hour away. Maybe they live 3 hours away. Maybe they live a plane ride away. Maybe they live in another country. Actually, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about people that are within a 5-hour plane ride, okay? There are certainly some pitfalls that you should be hyper aware of when it comes to long distance dating, but there are actually some benefits to long distance dating as well. Now, one of the main pitfalls is a lot of times people are communicating with each other. They most likely have met online and they're communicating each other through their devices, okay? Whether it is text messaging or whether it is telephone calls or whether it's FaceTime. And by the way, I highly suggest making sure you do a lot of FaceTime connections with somebody because these days, there are a lot of scam artists. There's a lot of flaky people. So I think it's really important. If you're going to engage in a long distance dynamic, is your first connection should be FaceTime, Zoom, Google Meet, WhatsApp, whatever it is. Make sure, even Bumble has a feature that allows you to video chat with someone, okay? And if they avoid a video chat, if they avoid that, that is probably not a very good sign with this person. And I'm not going to get into those particulars, but I think that should be radically obvious for many of you. The other thing is with long distance, because of all this incessant communication, it's interesting. Today, I was briefly watching a Matthew Hussey video, and he was talking about the difference between attention and intention. Attention and intention. And it occurred to me that in many cases, many people are experiencing attention for another person versus intention. In fact, when it comes to is he capable or are they capable of a long distance relationship, it's all about intention. But intention could be confused with attention. And the 2 primary forms of attention that occurs, particularly with long distance, but even in short distance dynamics, is love bombing and therapy. Let me repeat that, love bombing and therapy. And you're probably going, well, how could therapy? That's what a therapist is for. Well, let's start with love bombing. People that experience lust or limerence. And just remember, ladies, whenever you've heard the phrase, men are the hunters, men love the chase, just simply remember that men aren't hunting relationships. They're not walking around going, I've got my bow and arrow and I'm going to hunt for a relationship. When you hear that, men are hunting for sex, okay? And lust is oftentimes the driving force. So when someone is ridiculously, going back to the love bombing, when they're ridiculously complimentary, when they're overtly expressing affection for you, if they start to get sexual with you, there's a good chance you're experiencing love bombing. But now the other piece that I talked about and why long distance dating is a breeding ground for human beings with unhealed traumas, whether it's adult traumas, whether it's childhood traumas. Most of the time with adults, it's their adult traumas that they're wounded people and they're connecting with people online. And you're mutually sharing your traumas with one another. And what happens is you're kind of doing pseudo therapy, if you will. But what's also oftentimes happening is 2 people bonding through their traumas. Now, that's not necessary. That's kind of relatively like trauma bonding. It's not exactly in that sense, but in the sense you're bonding mutually with each other's traumas. And you might think, oh my God, I met the person of my dreams. So whether you're experiencing love bombing or you're experiencing that trauma bonding, love bombing, trauma bonding, just recognize that long distance dating is a breeding ground for this. Now, one of the benefits of long distance dating is you actually get a little bit more time to vet the person. Let me repeat that. You're getting a little bit more time to vet them because unlike dating around the corner, you say, hi, you've connected with each other, let's meet up, okay? Which in one sense is great because you can get that organic experience or that that visceral experience of being with the person versus the potentially artificial intimacy, the artificial intimacy that occurs through online connections, okay? And really quickly, just so you understand, artificial intimacy is that love bombing, that therapy I talked about. Can feel like you're really emotionally connected with this other human being. And the reason why it's artificial intimacy is a function of trust. And trust is built by spending many hours face to face with another human being. In fact, if you watch any of my past or later videos, I'd say it takes about 100 hours of face-to-face time just to build the first layer of trust. And then it takes 200 hours of face-to-face time and 300 days. And how is trust built? Through social activities, through hobbies, through mutual interest, through spending time with family and friends. It's built through traveling together. And certainly a layer of trust can be built through the telephone if you're approaching it with the way I'm about to share with you. Now, many of you know you've been told by other dating coaches, never interview someone that you're going on a date with. And if you've watched my channel, you've heard quite the opposite. I say, interrogate the person, interrogate the person, interrogate the person, okay? Now, interviewing oftentimes leads to where somebody is selling themselves to you. Coming back to attention versus intention, okay? And a lot of women get criticized for interviewing because they're actually doing what I encourage habitually, is interrogating. Now, let me explain why I say interrogating. Have you ever watched FBI files? Have you ever watched true crime? Have you ever watched a professional homicide detective interview a potential suspect? They are brilliant masters at getting to the truth. Bum, bum, bum. The truth. See, isn't this what it's all about, is getting to a person's truth, to get to know who the truth of who they are. That's what dating is all about. Dating is a vetting process to get to the truth of a person. And that's why we have to interrogate. Now, these professionals are brilliant at communicating in a non-confrontational way. It doesn't feel like an interrogation. It's a very simplistic approach of getting to know someone. And in a few minutes, we'll talk about those 4 questions because it's critically important. I invite you to spend some time after you get off this video, write this down, watch True Crime Detective Interrogation Techniques. It's brilliant. 7 out of 10 times, and I'm just anecdotally saying this, people confess. It's probably more than 7 out of 10, but they confess to the crime because of the brilliance of these masters getting to the truth. So I want you to kind of recognize that that's what dating is getting to the truth of who a person is. And that's why we want to apply these 4 questions going forward. So I want you to think about if the person is capable of a long distance relationship or long distance dating dynamic. You have to start by checking some of the key boxes in the early stages of getting to know one another. So the first, and by the way, this is in no order, but it's radically important, is do you check off each other's must-haves and values? Someone write that in the chat box. Do you check off each other's must-haves and values? Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't put together a list of must-haves that you need in relationship, and let's exclude honesty, integrity, and trust, because those are a given, okay? What are your must-haves? What is critically important to you? Now, beyond the surface, because I know many of you want the 3 6s, okay? 6 foot or taller, 6-inch penis, and 6-figure bank account, okay? I'm not talking about that, okay? And by the way, I got that off of a YouTube video. It's called the 3 6s, 6 foot tall, 6-inch piece, and a 6-figure bank account. I'm talking about the real core, what do you need in a relationship? What core needs do you need from a relationship? By the way, folks, here's my list. I'm just going to quickly show it to you. There's scribbled notes that I did shortly after my last relationship ended. I put together some of my core needs, my must-haves. Now, some of them are something I can determine before I meet a person, and others require spending face-to-face time with another person. But I'll give you an example of one desire is somebody that has a grateful or appreciative mindset, a grateful or appreciative mindset. It's really a core desire for me because I operate with a grateful and appreciative mindset. One thing that you can find for me, and I'm just inviting you to write your own list, but I put growth oriented. They do personal development, self-help, spiritual work. They're willing to do couples therapy as a way to build the relationship. And I asked that question very early on. I also want to know their spirituality. These are some questions you can ask early on, and then the other deeper questions you have to ask when you're face to face. Okay? So number one is, do you check off each other's must-haves and your values? What are your core values? That's number one. Number two, is he available or are they available for a committed relationship? Now, I hope you're like me. You seek a life partner. You seek a long-term, fully committed relationship. Now, if you're looking for something casual, this doesn't 100% apply to you, but I'm inviting you to go deeper. I'm inviting you to go deeper. Is he available? Are they available? And what I mean by available is, hey, are they healed after they're divorced? You know, remember I said earlier in the broadcast, we talked about trauma bonding and I talked about adult traumas. We have a wounded population of human beings out in the dating marketplace that are just bonding up with they're hooking up with one another more often because they haven't healed from their divorce or maybe their last relationship. By the way, do you know, I was communicating with a woman online not too long ago, and I said, when did your last relationship end? And she said, last night. And she was on the dating app the next morning. I'm like, listen, I mean, I'm not judging her choice, but I said, I'll wait 6 months before I meet you. So their last relationship ended and they've healed from their last relationship. That gives you an indication if they're available. Another thing is, did they have significant, gigantic childhood wounds? And if they did, have they done therapy and healed from it? Folks, sadly, and I have so much empathy for those folks that had deep childhood wounds, but if they haven't healed it, they're going to bring their stuff to a relationship. If you happen to have one of the pay-per-view channels, Showtime, there's a great series called Couples Therapy. Can someone write that down? Couples Therapy. I invite you to watch this series because you're getting inside clues into couples therapy. And most of the problems these couples have all go back to childhood wounds, all go back to their parents. Almost every single circumstance. Except for the polyamorous couple of this season. Although that might relate to it as well. Actually, I think it might. So, so coming back to, have they healed their major childhood wounds? Do they have a stable professional life? That's critically important. Do they have a good relationship with their children if they have children? Do they have a good relationship with their parents? These are questions to be asking to determine if he's available. But most importantly, does he want commitment? Does he want commitment? Is he committed to commitment? Is he capable of commitment? These are the critical questions to be asking. So is he available is number two. Number three, is moving really realistic? Folks, many of you have a fantasy approach to relationship. You know, Jonathan, if we love each other, I will move mountains for a person. You know, if that were really true, then why do couples therapy sessions are with people who love each other and they are gigantically stuck, okay? Folks, the first couple days of a long distance dynamic is this gigantic bubble. of euphoria, of dopamine, of all the wonderful chemicals that get released in our body. But at the end of the fucking day, if one of you can't move and you're not really realistic, and by the way, if you live an hour away, that's a lot easier. If you live 5 hours away driving, a little bit complicated. If you have to get on an airplane all the time, you really need to be realistic, because the other component about moving is one person is going to have to uproot their life and actually enjoy living. And ladies, you tend to have the propensity of being the one to move. Okay? Guys usually don't do this. And guess what? That means you have to completely uproot your life where you're at. And you're doing it based on this fantasy that love is the euphoria for everything. Now, certainly, if you've met somebody that you can genuinely build a life together, if you can be partners with one another, absolutely. Love is a great catalyst for that, for two people that check off each other's must-haves, their values, they're emotionally stable. Those are really great. And you have a shared vision. Oh, I should have said that in number 1. I apologize. Check off each other's must-haves, your values, and a shared vision. I meant to say that earlier in the first one, okay? Number 3 is moving really realistic. And number 4, bump. This is so critically important, is can you be objective about this relationship after the penis went inside the vagina? Can you be objective after having sex? That's number 4. Folks, sex is a beautiful thing. And oftentimes in long distance dating dynamics, sex happens on the first go around. And because you're amped up on chemicals, and that's actually, and on some levels, that's okay, because it helps bond you to a person where there's distance. So on some level, that's okay. But you have to be able to remain objective. So if you literally get radically attached with a person you sleep with, then you better make sure that they are somebody, if you want to go the distance, that they are someone capable of going the distance. They have the emotional maturity. They're no longer hung up on their ex-wife or their last relationship. They have a stable professional life. They have a good relationship with their children, and they genuinely want commitment. Because let me tell you something, after you have sex with a person, a lot of this stuff goes out the window. You know, because then you're hooked, then you double down. It's progressively getting worse, but because you're hooked, you keep investing more and more and more. And so just remember that, listen, I'm not here to poo-poo long distance dating or relationships. In fact, I'll share something a little bit further. But I'm just here for you to be conscious and aware if you're going to invest. And to determine if they're capable of a long distance relationship, these are at least 4 crucial questions I invite you to ask. So I'll just repeat myself. 1, do you check off each other's must-haves? Do you check each other's values? And do you check each other's vision of what you seek in a relationship? Number 2, are they available for a relationship? Have they healed childhood wounds or adult traumas so they can be better prepared for a relationship? Number 3, is moving really realistic? And number 4, can you be objective after having physical intimacy with someone? Those are the 4 questions to ask to determine if you're both capable of a long distance dating or relationship dynamic. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know if it is. Post a comment below. I'd like to hear your thoughts. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And also make sure you hit the notification bell on your phone as well. And also, if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below to schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. There's a link to join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. There's a link to follow me on Instagram. There's a link to get all the books I recommend, which I'll be sharing more along the way, all the books I recommend, and getting my dating vows which you definitely need to discuss before that penis ever goes inside the vagina. That link is below. All right, those who know my live format know it's time for Q&A. If you have a question, there's a little chat box in the corner. Write the word question and post the question thereafter. Or you can purchase a super sticker, super chat. All of the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Asley. That's a picture of him right there. He's my son who passed away over 6 years ago. In his honor, we donate to causes like the Hoffman Process, Insight Institute, and scholarships to coaching as well. And our goal tonight is $50. So I'd appreciate some love for the Connor Asley Scholarship Fund. All right, so I have an announcement. So the reason why I did this long distance dating video is because this past weekend I connected with somebody long distance, okay? They are 281 miles away, roughly about a 4-hour and 10-minute car ride or a 45-minute plane ride. And I want to share with you some things that happened to give you some context to why I wanted to shoot this video. So when we first connected, it was through Bumble. By the way, it was through the app Bumble. We actually asked ourselves, we had no idea how we actually connected with one another because our settings are local, okay? But somehow she read my profile and she simply said, "Hi, Jonathan, you have a wonderful profile. It seems like I think she said, I hope you have a nice evening. It seems like we have a lot of things in common. If you're interested, check in with me." And so I immediately saw her photograph. I was attracted to the photograph. In fact, I want to share with you, she had a very well curated profile. She had 6 quality photographs that included headshots and a body shot. There was no pictures with friends. There was no picture of the plate of sushi she ate the night before. It wasn't out of focus. It didn't have filters. It was 6 quality photographs that included mostly a couple headshots and a couple body shots. Okay. And I was very attracted to her photograph. And so I wrote her. I started with my must-haves. I said, look, it's great that we have some things in common. Does it happen to be personal development, self-help, spiritual work, and interest in plant medicine? Okay. Many of you know I like to do psychedelics, so I'm interested in plant medicine. And I put it out right away. And she's responded back, personal development, self-help, spiritual work, an important part of my life. I'm actively healing, from stuff. Well, she didn't write down doing therapy, but I picked up on that. And it turned out she had done ayahuasca before. So I'm like, yeah, I love it. Okay. So as we communicate a little bit more, we agreed to do a video chat. In fact, she was the one who encouraged it. If you're not familiar, on the app Bumble, there's a video chat function. And as a reminder, she lives a 4-hour car ride away. So I'm grateful that we did the video chat. And we, immediately, we both agreed to express if we look like our photographs and there was a mutual attraction, we got that out of the way. And we ended up having a long video chat conversation. And I went for the jugular, folks. I was interrogating her. I was asking all my radically honest questions, those deeper questions that go beyond the surface of, how's your day going? Did you have a good day? I hope you had a good day. I asked a lot of emotional questions to get a barometer on where she was at on an emotional level. This is something I teach in my private coaching. If you want some support with that, there's a link below to schedule a discovery call with me. My whole coaching program is all centered around discernment. In fact, what I was doing, what I preach in my coaching practice. And I'll be candid with you, we spent a lot of time. We actually had multiple conversations throughout the day. I had to drive to go meet some friends. I ended up spending an hour talking to her on the drive out there and the drive back. She had some things to do. And so we agreed to meet this week. And I'm doing the masculine thing. I'm driving out there. At first, she had offered to come out to me, but I said, I actually, even though the selfish part of me wanted to have her come to me, I'm going to her. Because I'm a public figure, she felt that I'm trustworthy, meaning I actually have a reputation to protect. So I have to be rather radically careful in the way I operate. So I pray to God she's not a psycho. Hope to God she's not I was going to jokingly say Taylor Swift, but I want to retract that. Anyway, we'll see what happens. If it turns into something interesting, I will share more as we go along, but I'm doing another long distance dynamic. What I do appreciate so far is because of the time we spent on the telephone and FaceTime, we've actually gotten a chance to build some trust with one another. We built some familiarity. Now, again, it isn't predicated on love bombing. It isn't predicated on unhealthy trauma bonding. That's not what's happening. In fact, she complimented me because she found herself speaking to a gentleman who can go deeper than the surface. This is what I'm advocating for all of you. If you meet a man who's in a good place in his life, if he's in a good place in his life and he is healed from his past, then you can actually go deeper with these men. There are plenty of men who are thirsty to going deeper. As Natty Kraft says right now, it's raining great men, it's raining great women, it's raining great men, it's raining great women. People who have done work to heal are much better prepared to be in relationship and to go deeper than the surface. She's done a lot of work on herself. I've done 10 times more work because I realized I was 10 times probably more fucked up than she is. She seems very well adjusted, had a good childhood, and just I'd say a minor traumatic previous relationship or marriage, I should say. All right, so that's just giving you a little feedback of what's going on for me. And you're more than welcome to ask any questions. If anyone wants to join the Love Seat, I'm posting a link right now. You can ask me questions directly live and on camera. I'm now calling it the Love Seat, meaning I'm going to be a lot nicer than I have been before. So be brave enough and join us live, okay? Big Bella wants to know, big sister, what are your intentions? Well, I'm very intentional. I would like to get to live with someone or get remarried. I'm very intentional about that. And she coincidentally feels the same way. I think she definitely wants to get remarried because she said that, and we're open. So in other words, we got that big question out of the way very early on. Catherine wants to say change in wind direction for long distance connection. I have always, I will absolutely agree. I poo-poo long distance dating of the unconscious way. What did I say here? Intentional versus unconscious. Intentional versus unconscious. So Maria wants to know, would you be willing to move? You know what? I've come to the realization that as much as I love living here, California is getting radically expensive, to be honest with you. California is getting radically expensive. And I'm not so sure I don't want to eventually live in another country part-time. So am I willing? You know what? I have the freedom to work wherever I want. I have the flexibility. I would need to spend regular time here because I have so many, but I don't have as deep a roots other than my son is the most important root. And you know what? He's off living his own life anyway. So I know a lot of parents live hundreds, if not thousands of miles away from their children. So I'm not as married as I used to be, but we'll see. But thank you for asking. Gigi wants to know, is 4 hours there and back with no traffic? Well, first off, if I ever drove, I would leave at the first crack of dawn so I don't have to deal with traffic. So I'm not worried about traffic. And by the way, 80% of the driving is highway driving, not freeway driving. That's what we call it here in California. Freeway is the congested driving. Highway is usually that long stretch of roads where you don't see a gas station for 30 miles kind of thing. Susan wants to say, I'm excited for you. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Susan. Daphne says, everything awesome, amazing for past month. Caught him being a player and a liar. I asked him what type of relationship are we in. He replied, not sure. Again, you know, you have to become detectives. You know, I'm sorry to say, you have to become a detective for your life. By the way, the clues exist. I want you to know, Daphne, the clues exist. The clues exist. Okay? You just have to learn. And by the way, that's what I teach in my private coaching. Schedule a call with me to learn how. Leanna says, I am excited for you. I hear hope. I actually feel very, you know, it's interesting, folks, and I've spent a lot of time chatting with her. And what I'm recognizing, by the way, very sincere woman. I like how she sent me a message that was so thoughtful. And I was like I almost was taken aback at the amount I think she definitely was meant to be a mother, because she's a very nurturing type of personality. I can see that in her, but there's a thoughtfulness to her. And I recognize that in one of our messages that happened today. She said something that just really struck my heart in thoughtfulness. So anyway, thanks for that. Lisa says Florida is cheaper. Yes, but they do have hurricanes. And Delaware is cheaper. Plus no hurricanes or alligators. That's funny. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed. Actually, you know what I was thinking? I don't know why, but Arizona seems appealing to me. But I think the challenge is I love the ocean. So I would want to be somewhere near the ocean too. But we'll see. You know, there's no decision made yet. We're talking about 6 months, a year down the road, if we ever get to that point. But folks, you guys know my last relationship ended 15 months ago. In the last 15 months, I've had 2 dates of women I met online, and I had 4 women I met who were friends, where we met as friends. It was non-romantic, but they felt like dates, even though they were friendship dates. So I've only had 2 dates, 2 women I've gone out on dates with, and this is the first person right now without meeting her, so I have no clue. But I've seen, again, she had quality photographs. We did FaceTime. I hope she's attracted to me. I mean, I'm hoping that. But I'm hopeful without being attached to the outcome. I'm hopeful without being attached to the outcome. That's how I feel. I'm hopeful without being attached to the outcome. Okay. All right. So does anyone have questions for this video? Is he capable of doing long distance? I need some fodder. I need someone join the hot seat. It would be fun to have some interaction, or this is going to be a very short video. So we need some content here. Maria wants to know, does she know you're famous? Well, she has watched some of my videos. Okay. So on Bumble, there's a place to put your Instagram. And prior to us having our first phone call, she had shown her girlfriend, hey, I've got this phone date with this guy. And her girlfriend says, do you see his Instagram page there? And she goes, I didn't notice it. So she clicked on it, and it takes you, it doesn't take you to my Instagram, but my name is all over my Instagram. So she watched a couple of my videos. So, I mean, folks, I'm a tiny bit YouTube famous. I'm not, in the world of the gigantic famous, but I'm a tiny bit YouTube famous. And yes, she watched some of my videos. In fact, she watched one of my live stream videos before we spoke, and she seemed to be impressed with my content. So yeah, she does know that. Annika says, I'm super excited for you. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Can we get off this conversation about Delaware and beaches in Florida? Can we get back to the content, folk? I'd really like to have a conversation. Stormy says, stay modest, John. It's okay to be modest. I would be lying if I didn't say I have a Leo mindset. Leo being lion, being my like astrological sign, which means the world sometimes revolves around me. That means that sometimes I can be a bit arrogant. It takes, by the way, and I get humbled all the time. So I do try to be my best and to be modest. But let me just say this: optimistically hopeful requires being attached to the ground. And that's the way I'm approaching this. I'll let you know next week what happened. Annika says, how do you explain? Okay, how do I explain? Wait, how do I explain to a man that I have a need for slower pace before actually deciding on being exclusive? Need more time to get to know you. Well, so let's start with, you don't need to say anything. But if he's pushing for exclusivity, let's differentiate between dating one person at a time versus being exclusive. I'm a big believer of dating one person at a time. I mean, if you have the time to go out with 4 men a week, I mean, more power to you, but I don't have the bandwidth to see more than one person at a time. So there's a difference between seeing one person at a time versus being exclusive. I think it's a mindset. You just devote a little bit of time to one person to see if it's worth exploring a relationship. The minute you agree to explore a relationship, I think you should commit to being exclusively exploring a relationship with one another. Does that mean you have to exclusively date a person? No. But Annika, I just think it's very hard to date multiple people at the same time, particularly, by the way, if you're dating multiple people at the same time and he's dating multiple people at the same time, I'm like, nobody's getting together because they're all out dating everybody else in town. You're probably going to cross paths with them while you're dating other people. So again, I believe in dating one person at a time. And when you agree to explore a relationship, you agree to exclusivity. But to answer your question about pace, you just simply say, until I'm in a committed relationship, I only become exclusive when I'm in a committed relationship. And you just state that on the first phone call. Just something you should know about me. Until I'm in a committed relationship, I'm not exclusive. Just that simple. Okay, Annika? Hope that helps. Stormy says, yay, my best friend is Leo. She's such a delight. You know, I know assholes who are Leos too. So it has nothing to do with our sign, sun sign. Daphne says, thank you for all your recordings. It gives me a lot of perspective. Keep up the awesome work. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the love. Maureen says, I'm happy for you, Jonathan. Thank you. Bella, do you consider heartfelt, emotional, mature conversations over the phone on a daily basis to count to the 100 hours while exclusively dating? You know, this is a tricky question. I weight it, WEIGHT, I weight it more heavily than surface level conversations. I don't give it a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you have 100 telephone hours, I don't give it a 1-to-1 ratio. But I would certainly say, at a minimum, at least a 3-to-1 ratio. In other words, for every 1 hour of face-to-face time, you can offset it with 3 hours of telephone time. This is just, I'm ballparking this right now. But if it's heartfelt, emotional, mature conversations, asking the radically important questions, like we asked the question about how we felt about politics. We asked the question about religion. We asked the question, we talked about money. I'm very upfront. I'm like, look, I'm not going to pay for every date. That's just not how I operate. I was very upfront about how I operate. So we had some very radically honest questions to share. You know, I shared a lot about how I operate and she shared how she operated. You know, I'm very upfront about that. So if you're having upfront conversations, let's give it to 3-to-1 ratio. That would just be a rough shot. Okay. By the way, Maria wants to address, it would be a mess dating multiple people at the same time. I fully agree. Angie has a question. So if someone is in an open relationship, shouldn't that be something mentioned in the first conversation? Somebody write this down. Here's a question. Does anybody believe they're in a relationship with you? Does anybody believe they're in a relationship with you? First off, you can ask on the first telephone call, are you actively engaging in a relationship or physical intimacy with anybody else at this time? Now, are they going to tell the truth? Who knows? But I would rather get that out of the way. In fact, this woman I spoke of that I'm meeting, I asked her, when was her last date? And it was a while back, and she'd only gone on, she hadn't been on anything her last short-lived relationship ended months and months and months ago. And I'm trusting her to be on her word. It's challenging with long distance, but I'm going to roll the dice. By the way, we shared each other's mutual social media page so we could get a peek into each other's lives. Karutster says, long distance with young kids is next to impossible. I would agree. When you have children, it's virtually impossible. There's always exceptions to the rule, but that is a good point. What's her horoscope sign? She is a Taurus. What do I know about the bull? My sister's a Taurus and she's a pain in the ass. So does it mean this woman's a pain in the ass being a Taurus? Does anyone tell me, can a Leo and a Taurus get along? Or a Taurus and a Leo? Does that work? Can someone tell me about that? I don't have any idea, but that's what she is. In fact, I need to do her astrological chart. A dear friend of mine, a Vedic astrologer, Carol Allen, I'll ask her to do our charts. Bella says, yep, very deep conversations in between seeing each other twice a week. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Roller Girl wants to remind everyone, does anyone believe they're in a relationship with you? That's at least a good start. By the way, folks, there's a little $ in the chat box. I'd really appreciate some love for the Connor Asley Scholarship Fund. If 25 of you just donated $2, we could get to our goal of $50 tonight. I would appreciate the love. Annika wants to come back and say, I'm definitely not dating multiple people, just couldn't commit just after 3 dates, needed more time. And he said no. Okay. By the way, what's the difference? I mean, can you just simply say, I don't intend to date other people while I'm getting to know you, but I'm not going to commit to exclusivity? I mean, I guess you have to define, what does exclusivity mean? I certainly don't. By the way, if I meet this woman and she says I'm dating multiple people, I'm going to say I'm probably not interested, particularly because it's long distance. By the way, you know what I did? I actually put all my dating profiles incognito. I put all my coincidentally, she did the same thing with Bumble. I don't want the distraction. I mean, the funniest thing is we had this amazing phone call and I was getting message after message after message. It's like all of it. What is it about the minute you are connected with someone, everybody comes out of the woodwork? I had like 100, I'm exaggerating, but what felt like 100 messages. I just like it's easier for me to just date one, just to get to know one person at a time. Look, if after 3 weeks it doesn't work out, I'm on to the next one. Matt says, can you give 100% in a relationship? I hope I can. I hope you can too, Matt. Ty says, what is the point of exchanging numbers if they're just going to stop responding within a few days? It's been very frustrating dealing with that. Yeah, as I said, Ty, there is a lot of wounded people in the dating marketplace that really need to seek therapy, and online dating has been a replacement for therapy. It's the new BetterHelp. Online dating is the BetterHelp. It's been the BetterHelp before BetterHelp was around. It's just temporary emotional fixes. Temporary emotional fixes for a lot of people. But I will tell you, I've gone to 5 weddings in the past 5 years from people that met online. Angie says, thank you for a response, Jonathan. How about some love for the Connor Asley Scholarship Fund? Michelle says, thank you for addressing long-distance relationships. You're very welcome. By the way, does anyone want to join the hot seat? Join me live. Let's have a conversation. Holly says, I do astrology. Well, let me know. Taurus and Leo. Oh, Maria has a question. I'm FaceTiming a person since 2 weeks. He lives 4 hours away too. We know we're not ready to meet. I feel as we meet, the magic will fly away. Why would I feel this way? You know, I'd be lying if I don't have a gigantic fear. I have lots of fears about connecting with this person. One is, God, what if we like each other? But what if I like her, she doesn't like me? What if she likes me and I don't like her? What if we like each other and it's a pain in the ass to do long distance? These are all valid fears. So, I mean, just one of many. I have a fear of getting what I want. Many of you know I've wanted a significant relationship. You know, it's like, be careful what you wish for. I have a fear around that. I have a fear of changing my life. It's okay to feel scared. It's okay to feel scared. You know, love is a risk, but it's still the best game in town. So anyway. Miss Spa says, long distance can be exciting and delay finding out if it really works out, but ultimately it does not work out in my experience. Okay, great point. So roughly, folks, do you know that the average person who's had 5 relationships that have been 3 months or longer, the average person these days, if you're in midlife, have had 5 relationships of 3 months or longer, okay? If you're still single, you have a 0% success rate. The average success rate of a relationship is probably 1 out of 5 anyway. But Jonathan, marriage is 1 out of 2. Well, by the way, second and third marriages end at a 65 to 75% rate. But given what it takes to get to a marriage, how many bodies did you have to get to a marriage? The average success rate of any relationship is virtually nil, and long distance certainly multiplies that. The benefit of long distance is if you have 2 emotional grown-ups and they're intentional, can actually, if they're really, really, really realistic and they can adapt to their environment, then it has a chance for success. But guess what? You know, love is a risk, but still the best game in town. Kristen says, I'm dating someone 2 hours away. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Well, see, there you go. Patricia's in the house. What if you dated someone before and got back in touch with each other? Do you think you should not have sex with them because of familiarity? I would, if you're going to revisit an old relationship, address what caused the ending of the relationship before the penis ever goes inside the vagina. Address what caused wrong and what is going to be different. Again, this is easy. Address why it ended and what's going to be different before the penis ever goes inside the vagina, Patricia. Gigi wants to let me know that Leos and Taurus can be compatible, but relationship can be challenging, according to AI. Interesting. Well, we'll have to find out what her actual birth date. Well, I do know her actual birth date, but the time and location to get those specifics. Oh, Natty Crafts just gave us a $5 super sticker. Thank you for the love. I appreciate it. Congrats on finding someone. Listen, I'm not even at the first date. I mean, but if we hit it off, I'm going to be a little bit excited. I mean, I like anything, you know, it's important to be detached to the outcome until a real solid commitment has been made with one another. And of course, it's always a risk, even when you agree to monogamy and exclusivity, but it's about So the 3 levels of commitment, folks. Level 1, monogamy and exclusivity. Level 2, teammates. Remember I shared with you, she said something that struck me. She asked me, if I needed something. She asked me specifically about something. If I need it, she'd go to the store. I just was very, very appreciative of that. That demonstrates teamwork skills. But level 2 is teamwork. Number 3 is all in. Whether you're doing a long distance or around the corner, those are the 3 levels of commitment. Lena wants to know, would you both be willing to do a personality quiz and share them with each other? I don't think I would ask her. I mean, I do know her love language, and we talked about love attachment style, but I think doing a personality quiz would be, I would think she would most likely say yes. Okay, but I'll ask her. Annika just gave us a $5 super sticker. Thank you for the love. Listen, if 20 of you just gave $2, we'd get to our goal tonight. Bella says all in or nothing. I'm in agreement. Stormy says, yes, I think we are all capable as humans to give 100% to many different types of relationships at one time even. NW says, what do you think about ignoring an ex? He is a MA. He is MI. Well, what do you think about ignoring? I mean, he's a man. Okay, I get it. I need more context, NW. I don't understand the question. Hey, Bella just gave us a $3 super sticker. Thank you for the love. I appreciate it. Teacher is in the house. How many years is too young to not be living together? I've been with my boyfriend for 9 years. He's 49, he's 55 during this whole 9 years. How many years is too long? Excuse me, where did I come up with young? Too long to not live together. You know, I guess the question I'd want to know is, what are your motives? Like, what are your motives? What are your intentions? Do you want a fully committed relationship where that you're teammates with one another all in? Folks, at our age, for us midlife folks, for 49 and 55, at this stage, if I would say within the first year, but at the longest, the second year, if you don't have clear intentions of a long-term path, then have you ever seen my chart? Here. The 3 people actively dating, okay? 3 people. By the way, this is not a fact. It's merely an opinion. There are the users. These are the love bombers. They seek short-term gain. They're players. They're gold diggers. They're entitled, selfish people. They only care about themselves. The next category is spenders. By the way, this first category is 20% of people, 60% spenders. They seek companionship, connection, and sex. No direction, uncertain, fearful, usually have a dysfunctional life. They spend time with you. You are a placeholder. Then there are the grower builders. That's probably 20%. They seek long-term commitment. They're emotionally grown up. Good relationship skills. They have their act together. Tell me something, teacher. Which category do you think you're in? And just remember, companionship, connection, and sex can be monogamous and exclusive, but it doesn't mean teammates and all in. Let me know which category you're in. Annika's back in the house. What if a guy is into casual relationships but says that he would be open to a relationship just because it's me? Your thoughts? That's just such fucking bullshit. I'm sorry. You know what? That's just I'll dangle the carrot that I might be serious someday because I'd like to fuck your brains out. Bump, bump, bump. I'll dangle a carrot because I really want to fuck your brains out. That's my thoughts, okay? I don't know if I'm right, but that's my thoughts, okay? Maria wants to say, Jonathan, you're already excited. Of course I'm excited about meeting someone new, which I had these wonderful telephone conversations, and I'll have a conversation with her right after tonight because I'm looking forward to chatting with her. Oh, this same question. Lori says, we're supposed to be a good match, but I find him very argumentative. Yeah, argumentative people fucking suck. I can't stand them. Oh, Stormy just gave us a $2 super sticker. Thank you so for the love. I'm so happy with my new man going on 2 months. Yay, Bella, we're excited for you. Patricia's in the house. Oops. Jonathan, I thought you said after Marie you wouldn't do long distance relationship. If I said that, I can't imagine I said that specifically. But folks, I was in pain after that relationship ended. So I've evolved since then. I'm constantly evolving. I'm like, I wouldn't do long distance, might be it. And I wouldn't want to move, and I could change my mind. That's what life is about, taking different turns, changing lanes at times. So, but you're right. I might have, I don't think I said that, but I might have just said it in haste. So anyway. Catherine wants to share with them if one is not used to the elements of long distance relationship, odds of it flourishing or lasting are slim. There are many things that truly need to be solid in place. Yes, I agree. But again, whether you live around the corner or it's long distance, I will say this: long distance oftentimes can be a bubble relationship. It can be missing some key elements. It makes things difficult. There's no doubt about it. But again, there's no guarantee if you live around the corner of relationship success. And by the way, do you know how many therapists' offices are filled with couples who are miserable and are together? So just keep that in mind. Deidre says, or JFD, I'm happy for you and excited. The lady sounds quite perfect for you from the way you describe her. Good luck. Happy Thanksgiving. All of us love you. You know what? My gut tells me, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just listening to my intuition. I have to be careful because there is a little bit of dopamine going on. There is a little bit of excitement. But my intuition, just speaking to her, she's a very kind, compassionate person. She's been very sincere on the phone. She's been, oh my God, she's an amazing listener. And she opened up and was vulnerable with me on some really big things in her life that affected her heart. And so I can feel her empathy. She was very empathetic and sympathetic towards my son, which I know a lot of people can be, but and she shared a bit about her children. I've shared about my children. So I just feel good that she's a good person. And I'm excited about that. I can just tell that she's a good person. Now, cross your fingers. Is there chemistry? Oh my God, the elusive thing is there chemistry. Okay, so I'm crossing my fingers. Roller Girl just wanted to give us $2 for the Connor Asley Scholarship Fund. Listen, we need $38 more this evening. Somebody donate $10 or $20 right now. If I provided value, if this video had value for you, can you give us some love? I'd really appreciate it. All right. Bella says, Jonathan, listen to it. Jonathan, we know when it feels right. I'm excited for you. Do I think she's the one? No, I have no fucking clue. I have no effing clue. How do I know if the person is really single? Again, this is a roll of the dice. I did a little bit of a background check on her because I got her last name. I don't know about that, but you know what? I'm a big boy. I mean, I don't think I'll get murdered. And I get, ladies, you have to take a risk, okay? I don't think that's going to happen. I'll roll the dice on that one, okay? I don't think she's going to key my car or anything like that. I mean, certainly those things happen. She could be an absolute whack job. I doubt it, but she could be. But you know what? Do you know how much fun it is to be excited to meet someone new? Do you know what I want you to just breathe that in for a second. God, universe, spirit. There's something beautiful and amazing about connecting with another human being at a heart-centered level. And it's so beautiful when the chemistry exists and the communication is off the charts and the banter can go on for hours and hours at a time. And the capacity to blend lives with one another and to share the same values and to share the same vision and to have the emotional maturity where you build the deep roots of trust. through social activities, hobbies, mutual interest. And so it goes beyond the surface of just sitting together and talking all day long. It's actually getting to know one another at a deep, heart-centered level. God, universe, spirit, I invite that in for myself and everybody watching today. Thank you for listening. All right, folks, we just covered, is he capable of doing a long-distance relationship? I hope you found value in this conversation. If you did, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And also, don't forget to hit that notification bell right up there on your phone. Also, if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below to schedule a discovery call. There's a link to join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. There's a link to get all the books I recommend. There's a link to follow me on Instagram. There's a link to get my dating vows. And don't forget to get my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, and Spiritual Work. Wishing you all a super duper wonderful, fantastic day. Oh, before I'm going to wrap up this video as I always do. First off, give myself a big, gigantic Jonathan Barrick of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love if that's okay. I'm asking you to turn to someone, a pet, a teddy bear, a pillow. Give it or them a hug of love because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we can all use more love in our lives. I want to thank Angie and Maria and Stormy and Patricia and Natty and NW and Catherine and Polly and everybody who donated, Annika, Roller Girl, Matt, Holly, Kristen, Patricia, Laura, everyone, big hugs. Thanks so much. Wishing you all a super duper wonderful day. Bye now. Bye-bye. Bye.